Welcome to the Bosman Viewing. Today we're going to be focusing on Chelsea, but to be more specific, we're going to be looking at strikers this club has had over the years. They have had legends of the highest calibre pull on this shirt, and not just Chelsea legends, Premier League greats. They've been able to attract some of the best strikers in world football to come and play at Stamford Bridge, ranging from skillful playmakers to borderline unstoppable target men. Some of these strikers have etched their name into the club's folklore and history, becoming icons in their own right. They have given fans moments that will always be remembered and cherished. Thanks to their efforts, they were able to take Chelsea to a new level to compete with the best clubs in Europe. And even though the pursuit of finding the best strikers in the world has also led to some expensive mistakes over the years, we decided to look at a unique group of forwards in this club's history. So here it is. This is the top 10 forgotten Chelsea strikers. Starting off our list, we have football legend and icon George Weah. This man at one point in his career could easily be seen as the best striker in world football, tearing up the Serie A during the 90s with AC Milan and winning the Ballon d'Or during his time at the San Siro. Although considered past his prime when he signed for Chelsea on loan in 2000, he instantly became a fan favourite after scoring on his debut in a game against rivals Tottenham Hotspur. He would also go on to score vital goals in the club's FA Cup run that year, which they went on to win, with Weah starting in the final. Although he performed well during his short loan spell at Stamford Bridge, then manager Gianluca Vialli opted against making the move permanent, at which point Weah decided to sign for Manchester City instead. Next up to talk about, we have Serbian striker Matias Kezman. Considered one of the most promising strikers in football when Chelsea signed him, thanks to his goal scoring exploits at PSV, where he scored 81 goals over 3 seasons. He was one of Jose Mourinho's early signings, and he was given the number 9 shirt left vacant by club legend Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank. He did, however, struggle to recapture the form he had at PSV, only managing a handful of goals. However, one of these proved invaluable as he grabbed an extra time goal against Liverpool in the League Cup final, which Chelsea went on to win that year. There was plenty of success around Chelsea at this time, but Kezman seemingly struggled to keep up with the talent around him and the goals began to dry up altogether. It was at this point when his form dropped off and the player was told that he was allowed to leave. Although disappointed, he chose to do this and he joined Atletico Madrid to play in La Liga. The next entry on our list had a difficult time at Chelsea, LuigiCasaragi. He was an established Italy international who had played at the top level in Serie A with both Juventus and Lazio, so there was no denying the quality that he possessed. A strong, hard-working striker who was known for his aerial ability. He chose to move to the Premier League and join Chelsea once he began to lose time at Lazio. He moved to Stamford Bridge in 1998 for a sizable fee at that time of around $5.5 million. However, his career in London could not have went any worse. He only managed 10 appearances for the club, in which he scored 1 goal against Liverpool, before suffering a terrible cruciate ligament injury in a game against West Ham. He then had to endure 10 different operations and rehab over 2 years in an attempt to recover, which he never could and unfortunately had to retire. His contract was then terminated by Chelsea, which ended up in both parties pursuing legal action against each other. Now for the next striker on our list, we have Adrian Mutu. The Romanian striker was a hot prospect in world football back in 2003 when Chelsea signed him. He had just come off of a very successful period with Parma, and he was part of Roman Abramovich's initial spending spree at the club. He started off his Chelsea career in perfect fashion by scoring on his debut and chopping up 4 goals in his opening 3 games. At the time, however, his relationship with the club and manager Jose Mourinho started to sour, with both parties accusing each other of lying about whether Mutu was injured and about general professionalism. Things took a turn for the worst when in September 2004 Mutu was banned from football for 7 months after failing a drug test. Chelsea then began legal proceedings against the player seeking compensation. Despite being banned from football, Mutu decided to move on and signed with Juventus. despite not being an out-and-out striker, we want to include Brian Laudrup. The versatile frontman who could play on the wing or up top joined Chelsea in 1998 after a hugely successful time with Rangers in Scotland, where he was a major part of their historic 9-in-a-row success. Things did not start well for Laudrup in London, however, as he actually attempted to get out of his contract after finding out about the squad rotation policy Chelsea had at the time. After resolving this, he made his debut in the 98 UEFA Super Cup final that they won. Laudrup made limited appearances throughout his short period at Chelsea due to a combination of injuries and the rotation system they had. He was able to score one goal for the club in the Cup Winners' Cup during his time, before he ended things and he moved on to sign for Copenhagen. Now we're going to be talking about former youth prospect Carlton Cole. Cole began his career as a trainee with Chelsea, and after impressing with his work rate and ability, he signed a professional contract. He went on to make his Chelsea debut in 2002 when he came on as a substitute. At this time, Cole was being heralded as a future Chelsea great, with then manager Claudio Ranieri stating he was one of the best young players he ever coached. Due to the number of top level players at the club, he spent a lot of his time out on loan. Over time, his chances of breaking into the starting 11 became less and less, and despite being around the club during a very successful period when that started to become the norm, he was looking for first team football, and that's when he decided to join West Ham. Next up, we have flying Finnish forward Mikhail Forsell. He began his Chelsea career as a young hot prospect after making his professional debut as a 16-year-old for Finnish side Helsinki. Due to the calibre of players around him at the time, it was difficult for Forsell to break into the first team and make regular appearances for Chelsea. The majority of his time was spent on loan, trying to get valuable experience and the aim always to go back to Chelsea and become one of their main strikers. He went on to make 30 first team appearances for the club over a 7-year spell, even making important squads for Champions League games and title clinching moments. However, in the end, Chelsea decided he would no longer be a part of their long-term plans and he left to join Birmingham City. Here's another forgotten Chelsea striker, Fabrizio Barini. The Italian forward joined Chelsea as a youth player in 2007. He excelled during his time with the club reserves, scoring 10 goals in 11 appearances. He was promoted to the first team by manager Carlo Ancelotti, even including him in their Champions League squad. He would go on to make a handful of appearances for the club in numerous competitions, however unfortunately he had to undergo an hernia operation which put him out of action for some time. On the recovery trail, he was struggling to break back into the first team, and at this point he chose to move on, moving back to Italy and joining Parma. Our next player on the list is Alexandre Pato. In January 2016, the one-time Brazilian superstar opted to join Chelsea on loan from Corinthians. The former AC Milan star had been having some difficult moments in his career due to injuries and off-the-field issues, and he was hoping to reignite his career. He was quoted as saying at the time it was a dream move for him to join Chelsea and play in the Premier League, and he certainly had the dream debut, coming on as a sub, winning the penalty and scoring it. He stayed at Chelsea until the end of the season, but was only able to make one more appearance for the club. Despite being a positive influence in and around the team and a popular figure in the squad, Chelsea opted against signing the player at the end of his loan spell, and at this point Pato decided he wanted to play in La Liga and he joined Villarreal. And the final player on our list is French striker Loic Remy. Upon joining Chelsea, Remy was a proven goal scorer in English football, having had two very successful spells, both at QPR and in his subsequent loan move to Newcastle. This was what prompted Chelsea to sign the player in 2014. He was handed the number 18 shirt previously worn by Lukaku, and he was able to score a goal on his debut. Remy had to compete for a starting place throughout his time at Stamford Bridge, which made it difficult to get a run of games and gather form. He would continue to fight for his place in the squad to make an impact wherever he could. However, after spending 3 years in London, he was released by Chelsea, at which point he moved to Spain to join Las Palmas. We hope you enjoyed the video. This is the Bosman viewing, and if you're new here, you should check out our other football videos on the channel. If there are a player on this list you think we should have included, put it in the comments section and let us know. If you enjoyed this video, if you could thumbs it up, that'd be great. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you on the next one.